What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to another Pay-Per-Viewpoint kind of edition of the Smark and Smack Talk podcast, mixed a little bit with the 756th episode of the Hot Tags, because we're going to be talking about AAA Noche de los Grandes. We're going to be getting into the TV talk and all the other stuff we normally do on the Hot Tags. I'm your host, as always, Tony Mango, joined as always by Callum Wiggins.
Hello.
And Rob D. Felice.
El Grande Americano will win.
Maybe.
And lose.
And of course, everybody that's in the live chat and everything else, everything in this sphere, thank you for joining us. I see Peter's in the chat right now, finally not at work for one of these things. Let's see some hot tags rolling. Oh man, it's good to see that you're not at work and you're able to listen to us live. If you are able to listen to us live, chat it up, let us know. And if you're listening to it after the fact, let us know that as well. Drop a comment below on whatever platform it is you're listening to us. If you happen to be over on YouTube, then make sure that you hit the like button, subscribe, ring your notification bell, because your email alerts set up for the post shows and other live episodes. We've been doing a lot of live things lately and experimenting with that. So that's the best way to know when we go live, especially because we don't normally record on Thursday afternoons. But hey, tomorrow on Friday, when we normally would be, is going to be a situation where they're going to be doing SmackDown. So that starts at 2 p.m. Eastern on Netflix for international audiences. And then everybody in the United States that isn't aware of that and doesn't want to do the VPN thing is going to be like, it pops up at 8 o'clock and no, what's going to happen live now? Yeah. So I will have my spoilers up on Smark Moment and elsewhere. And, we'll kind of roll along with it now. Not that there's much to spoil because they haven't said anything yet. Last time I checked, it was like Miz versus Axiom. You're like, wow, that's it. But we got, a lot of weird schedule stuff happening over these next couple days because they are in Spain for SmackDown. And then they're obviously in Italy for Clash in Italy. That's the whole point. It'd be kind of weird if they were in, Belgium for Clash in Italy. And then I think Raw is still in Italy. So Raw is a little bit earlier on Monday too. So keep that in mind.
But it's Raw still war.
I don't think it is anymore. But maybe Monday Night Raw is. It's got to the point where even Caroline's like, oh my God, Stephanie McMahon, Raw. Like you didn't have to hear it all the time. Yeah, we'll randomly go live here and there, so make sure you get your email alerts. And we do not have a scheduled post show for AAA, but we do have a post show for Clash in Italy, so keep that in mind too. Also, click on the good buttons you can see on here: the thanks button, the subscribe button, as I mentioned before, all that stuff. The join button is the best thing for you to click on and get get access for yourself for the Darkcast here and different things that I'm still in the process of tweaking a little bit for Patreon and stuff, but we're going to introduce something pretty soon, the Inner Circle section that you can only be if you're a part of that tier, and it's going to be for special episodes here and there for something that I'm calling the open house shows, where you can actually be a part of the show too. So it's a Discord thing. If you don't know where our Discord is, you can find that link over on the sidebar at smarkatmoment.com. You can find it on the description below on YouTube. You can find it on the screen right now if you're looking on YouTube. Hop on over to our Discord channel. I'm changing a lot of things around with that too. Trying to implement a rewards like reputation system where people can put a little emoji for pop and boo if you like or dislike a comment. Barry the Elephant is in all the chats now. So the elephant in the room is a thing. I figured that out the other day. And a couple of other surprises here and there that some of them I'll mention, some of them I'll just let people discover on their own. So hop on over to the Discord server, have some fun with us over there. And we got some other messages in this live chat. Let me see what's going on. We got Brandon saying, would love to hear Rob and Callum's thoughts on Double or Nothing. Definitely going to get both of your opinions about those things. PD saying, I agree with Rob. Grande will win and lose for Spanish-born wrestling superstar Axiom. That's the whole reason why they're doing it in Spain. So, yeah, let's start getting into it a little bit. And I don't have really a set game plan in mind of like...
we're talking about Double or Nothing since it was on
You know what? We rarely ever start with an AEW thing, and then, we can bounce around and do other things here and there. But what the hell? Let's go Double or Nothing and then Dynamite. And, kind of roll along those topics. Yeah, because Double or Nothing. Lots to talk about that happened on there. You already gave my reactions to it, but we didn't get Robin Callum's thoughts, so Double or Nothing. 0 hour pre-show. Anything that happened on there that you guys want to talk about? Keep it kind of condensed to there, then go to the main card.
I think Mick Foley, it was really special to see him immediately get into the mix with MJF and Darby Allin, and the place really warmed up to him. And Renee even called it out. She's like, we're not even remotely full, and everybody's going crazy for Mick Foley. And it's cool to see him there. He looks healthy. I hope he's, happy and can do this for as long as he wants. And I'm just glad he's there. Also, just random statistic, he's like the only wrestler ever to have officially worked AWA, WCW, ECW, TNA, WWE. Like, he's legit had an official appearance in every major promotion of the last 40 years, and I think that's awesome.
WWF and WWE.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Mick Foley stuff is the only thing that's really significantly worth talking about from the 0 hour, because most of the other matches were pretty much for muchness. It was, I guess, it was somewhat quite interesting that they decided to let Xavier Steel and Viva Van get so close to being the 5-minute tag team eliminator, and then that's also saw the return of Anna Jay and Ty Mello as a tag team, and yeah, so there seems to be the next one that's lined up to challenge, because they're going to be doing the 5-minute challenge next week. Oh no, it's on Collision this week. Sorry, it's the final hour of Collision. It's going to be on Saturday. So yeah, but it's great for Mick Foley to be in AEW. Like, he's a legend of professional wrestling, and AEW has a strong history of treating legends of wrestling with particular respect, and they immediately shot him into the angle between him and Darby Allin and MJF. So that's a nice touch to immediately ingratiate him into the fold.
It's so much better when you can use somebody like that rather than what WWE does, where they'll be like, we got Waylon Mercy in the crowd. We haven't seen him in 40 years. Look at that. He's waving. And then you're like, oh shit, Waylon Mercy. Is he go? Oh, never mind. All right. They're talking about Minute Maid or something. Yeah, Foley gets to have some fun, and seems like he might be a part of the buy-in / 0 hour / whatever they call all their pre-shows, because they keep changing it every once in a while. For like Saturday might be a different thing, Sunday might be a different thing, that kind of thing. Going forward, he might be a regular on there. Love myself some Mick Foley, so he tells Darby Allin, win for the weirdos, and then Allin loses. Which
is a very Mick Foley thing to do, though.
Yeah. It's true.
I'm gonna win and then I lose.
Yeah. So main card wise, it started off with the tag team title switch, and then now on AEW Dynamite, we ended up having the 5-second pose that they were going to be, having some kind of celebration for winning those titles. Cage and Cope get attacked by the dogs instead. And that's after they put over FTR as being like the greatest tag team that they've ever been in the ring with and stuff. But yeah, they don't lose their ability to tag. They end up winning the titles. Beth Copeland ends up returning to help them do that. I had fun with that stuff. What about you guys?
I love that. I think this was the best that it could have been. And it was nice to see Beth. We saw a flaming table spot where credits to Cash. He, no shirt, no long pants, just jumped through that flaming table. And it was good. It was good to see them get the win. I like that Christian is just refusing to let go of his asshole ways. I think it works really well. And yeah, I was very happy to see them get the win here. And starting a feud with the dogs is interesting, because I thought honestly we'd get through the 5-second pose just for nostalgia's sake. But it was so fun to see the dogs do it instead and just go full cheese with it. I really enjoyed it.
I thought that the match itself was expertly crafted. in terms of just the way that it flowed between the match. I do think that, like, an interesting note to make of the entire show, very little blood, even though there were some like significant hardcore matches.
Yeah, they were clear that was
because-
a New York State Athletic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so even though they had these like violent, the Stadium Stampede and the I Quit match, like they couldn't really use a lot of blood at all. But yeah, that didn't stop them from doing some pretty insane stuff in this match. I mean, I guess New York doesn't have rules against tables being set on fire and putting Stokely Hathaway through it. So yeah, I thought that there was a lot of cool moments in this. I thought it was paced very well, and yeah, I'd say Cage and Cope winning was a inevitable outcome, but I think it's good, and I like the fact that their first challengers are going to be the dogs, because I don't think we should go just straight away into, yeah, we know where this is going. We know this is going to be like the Bucks versus Cope and Cage at All In. So let them have matches with the other members of the tag team division and start building them up a little bit as well, because they'll be the ones that will be more prominently featured once the titles are on a more stable act like the Bucks.
You guys don't think that they did the whole thing with Christian's arm to potentially, like, oh, now he's injured and now they have to vacate the titles?
That would be crazy.
They've just been feeding that into the thing about Christian Cage's arm, because Christian had his arm bandaged going into the match with.
His arm's been
FTR.
fucked for like, the 3 weeks, even maybe a full month.
Yeah,
he's been wearing that.
Essentially, this is like, it's the right thing to do of being. This is clearly a weak point for him. So basically, every match that Cage and Cope are going to have now up until All In is going to be centered around Cage being the babyface in peril, the asshole in peril probably for his sake, with his opponents targeting his arm, and then he gets the hot tag into Cope, and Cope clears house after that. That's basically the formula now for the next couple of months.
So,
Yeah,
I
I don't.
Okay.
I don't think they're gonna drop the belts like that by any means. That would be the most frustrating and disappointing thing you could possibly do. I don't know why you would even suggest this, other than you like my pain, and I know you don't. But I'm excited to see how much they do with them until they have them drop it to the Bucks or the Machine Guns or whomever they lose it to.
They had, speaking of losing belts too, Konosuke Takeshita beat Kazuchika Okada. And now, we had the whole follow-up from that too, of the whole setup of Kyle Fletcher turning on him. And Fletcher called out that Takeshita is a selfish prick. And that, Don Callis made a point about being like, Konosuke Takeshita was never the golden child of the whole crew. The chosen one's always been Kyle Fletcher. And seems like we're moving on from the Okada Takeshita feud to go straight into the Takeshita Fletcher feud. Although Fletcher did eye up the TNT title with Kevin Knight a little bit, so there might be a little bit of something there. But I was a big fan of this whole thing. I thought that the match was fantastic. I thought that Takeshita winning is a good idea. I think that Fletcher feuding with him is going to be great. All positives on my front.
I thought the match with Takeshita and Okada was great. I liked that it seemed like Don Callis was still torn between them. And then when Takeshita dropped him on the outside, it felt like Callis was really upset with him, because you wouldn't think Callis would go with the loser, right? But they had Kyle Fletcher come back. He's turned on Takeshita, which once he came back, you could see coming from a mile away. But my favorite thing was the segment that you were referring to, where it's Kevin Knight, Kyle Fletcher, and MJF on Dynamite, and you just go, fuck, that's it. That's what this needs to be. Look at all these young dudes that are at the top of this industry. Like, I think this company should lean more heavily into that. And I think Kyle Fletcher is the guy who will be AEW champion multiple times over the next 10 years, as long as everything goes right.
Yeah, I think the match from a bell-to-bell perspective was the best match on the entire show, I think. And these two have incredible chemistry with each other, as you would expect, considering how long they've been kind of at odds with each other. They have to deliver here, and they absolutely did deliver. I think they went at a pretty rapid pace, considering how, like, if this was to be like the New Japan Wrestle Kingdom main event, it would have probably been done slower, a lot more build up before going into this thing. They just went straight out straight away to emphasize the kind of frustration and anger and hatred between the two of them that's built throughout this time. I was surprised that Takeshita won, but it was a good surprise because I think he is worthy of being a champion of this level, and obviously has been before, and now he gets to do it again. I think the way they handled the Fletcher return was great as well. Just enough to bait you into believing that it was just going to end with Fletcher showing support for Takeshita and then move on, and then just for the turn to happen. And yeah, I think Fletcher is in an interesting position where I think there are a lot of people in the AEW fan base that want to cheer him now because his work rate is so good and he has such great matches that it's difficult not to get behind him. But he is still like a dick, and he still portrays himself that way. He still wears these really flashy suits and the shaved head and all this other stuff. He just comes across as a bad guy, and so this has helped reinforce that by being such, because everyone loved the Protashita tag team despite them being heels at the time, and so to split that and to reinforce his alignment with Don Callis will just aid him further. So this is obviously the match for All In, and I'm very happy about that. Takeshita versus Carl Fletcher is a great match, and it's one we haven't seen because haven't really seen because they've both been in the same faction for their periods of ascendancy.
Rob, thoughts?
No, I would love to see these two go at it at all, and I'm a little interested as if they'll hold out that long because we've got Forbidden Door and the newly announced Redemption. But I could see this being the match for Wembley, and I would be very glad about it.
We have a thing from Peter in the chat. Did you hear about the handicapped fan whose production wouldn't move at Double or Nothing? Something happened there?
His production? I know that people got stuck at leaving the show. They got stuck on the bridge because they had closed the gates back to the parking lot. But I did not hear about a handicap fan. That sucks. But I, as a handicapped person myself, I'd be trying to do whatever I can to make sure that nothing goes wrong there because these things can happen. It's difficult.
Yeah. So I've had a story here Peter referring to. So apparently a wheelchair user claimed that AEW production staff took over the paid accessible seating at Double or Nothing 2026. So the fan put out there says Robdo paid for seats and the production crew set up their equipment and we had to stand all night. End up leaving halfway through the show. It was in the handicap section 2. When I asked the worker, they said we're not moving.
That's a dick move. If that if that really happened like that, they got a lawsuit on their hands. Yeah, that'll be interesting to follow.
Yeah, so if that is how it went down, then obviously there's no excusing that behaviour, and I hope that the people, whether it was just a decision from the top, or whether it was just a bunch of the production crew just deciding that's where they're going to set up, and if that's the case, then they should be very much either reprimanded or relieved of their duties. But if it's more of a higher up thing, then AEW needs to kind of just take a bit of a look at themselves for it. But again, we'll have to see what becomes of it beyond this point, because it's one of those situations where it is only one fans.
Right now, is it production staff, or is it people?
Some security dude.
Yeah,
at the venue.
Some dickhead that just decided he didn't want to move at the venue.
Yeah.
Because that I could see, because New Yorkers assholes, especially when it comes to things like that. I can speak to that personally. I'll give you a quick story. When the last time I was in New York, it was about 10 years ago now, but at the time we thought it would be easier to just travel through the airport if I got like a wheelchair. And the guy who they assigned to push me through the airport literally said as he was talking to somebody, "Nah, he's on my time." And I just went, you know, it was way early in the morning. It was like 5 a.m. But had it been less of a dire circumstance and a little later in the day, I might have been like, "You're a dickhead." And also, like, I'm probably because this is usually a lack of intelligence. They think it's a lack of intelligence thing, and it's like I'm probably way fucking sharper than you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, people are just assholes, and that's why I assume it's more of a New Yorker working the show kind of thing.
Probably the case. Let's see. So we had the Owen Hart Foundation tournament matches. So we had a little bit more about that. We have a little bit more coming up and all. The long and short of the whole thing: Athena beats Mina Shirakawa. Will Ospreay beats Samoa Joe. Swerve Strickland beats Bandito. We now know Swerve is going to face Brody King as expected because Brody King beat Claudio Castagnoli on Dynamite or Collision, whichever one. It doesn't matter. It's the same thing. And Jungle Jack Perry lost to Mark Davis. So it's going to be Mark Davis versus Will Ospreay. We still don't know who the wild card is against Alex Windsor. They didn't bother to say that, but they did say that they will also explain what the TBS title situation is going to be on the Collision that's happening on Saturday. So a little bit of the updates when it comes to those things. Some of it's following the way that we thought that the path would. Some of it maybe not necessarily. What do you guys think about the Owen Hart Cup?
I think it would exactly the way we saw it going, at least for the men's side so far. Women's side, I would say as well. The only thing I'm questioning now is, hey, maybe Windsor's going to go a little further because she openly said in the promo, like, I'm also trying to be by, my husband's side or by Will's side. So maybe she is going to go pretty far. I just can't see it because the Birds are such a strong team. And I think that because Hater's also been doing the world title picture, that the team aspect has kind of gotten taken away.
Yeah, it's like the results went as would be anticipated for all of the ones we had on Double or Nothing and so far on the TV as well. From a match quality perspective, I thought Ospreay and Joe was just a surreal thing to see, but it was great to watch. So Bandito was great as well. Athena and Mina Shirakawa was okay. Nothing really special about that one. But yeah, I would say that as an overall thing from Dynamite, the Dynamite and Collision joint thing, I think the significant lack of women's involvement on the show was embarrassing. To a higher extent than usual with AEW, and I know AEW does get flack for this, and I think sometimes it's overdone. I don't think it's overdone in this respect. I thought it was absolutely embarrassing how little women's wrestling, or even like real women's involvement on the show was at all. It basically came down to that squash match with Tay-J against Ali Catch and Ava Everett, and then the street fight main event. But that's at the main event of Collision, which like nobody's really watching compared to the 2 hours prior to it. Then Tekla didn't make an appearance, I don't believe, or anything significant anyway. Like, so they haven't really they haven't in any of those hours addressed anything with TBS thing. I know they said they were going to, but like you have 3 hours here that you could have addressed it. 3 hours that people are more likely to be watching than whatever you say on Collision. You had an opportunity to do an Iron Heart Cup match here. You're not doing that. Admittedly, to the people that you want to have in the Iron Heart Cup are nursing injuries right now, and so they're waiting for them to be cleared. But yeah, as I think that the overall presentation of the women's stuff on Dynamite was atrocious, even by AEW standards. But yeah, that's like the matches on Double or Nothing went as you'd expect them to.
Now, I have a question because I did see a lot of communication about this. And I honestly didn't realize how bad it was until I started seeing the discussions about it, because I was like, well, they're trying to save everything for Satin and Sheeta, and you know, they did have a really, really strong match, as the women in hardcore matches do in this company. But yeah, people are like, they're either really upset, or you have those fans that are like, it's unfortunate, but the lack of focus on women is also correlating with like more interest in the shows. And I don't know why this company has never gotten women correct. And it really feels like the only time they're interested in booking women is when it's either Mercedes or Toni Storm.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that just sucks. But
I think
you never know. Like, maybe they will turn around eventually. They have to.
I do remember like hearing very recently I think it was prior to the Supercard of Honor show with Tony Khan doing his like presser beforehand, and they were kind of like spoke about it a lot, because in Ring of Honor the women are presented quite. There's a lot of women's wrestling, and the women are presented as like, I mean, Athena is the main star of Ring of Honor. Obviously, you take that with a grain of salt in terms of stardom in Ring of Honor, but they do get a lot of time. They do get a lot of matches. The matches are given time to perform as well. They're given promo segments, like a lot of stuff in Ring of Honor. And Tony Khan basically presented the answer that a lot of people suspect, is that like there are certain constraints on the main television shows of Dynamite that mean that the women aren't as heavily featured as they are on a show where he's got complete free reign to do whatever he wants.
But what does that mean? Like, time constraints, and you don't want to give the women that time? Or are you saying, like, is somebody above you saying, yo, I don't want to see all this women's wrestling?
Yeah,
like,
some like Turner person just being like, we can't have the women do too many matches, or you know. Like...
Well, I think it's what the thing of my belief when he says that is that there's a perception that women don't draw, or a lot of the women's wrestlers don't draw, and on Dynamite or Collision, he's beholden to get ratings, to get decent ratings. And if there's the general belief that the women aren't going to draw significant ratings for him, then he can't use them because, or he doesn't feel like he can use them because the ratings won't go up. Or
that sucks. That's awful, though.
But yeah, but that is it's a pre-built thing that a lot of people like. As I say, it doesn't really affect WWE anymore because they pushed through that, but for a while that was obviously the big sticking point with that. So like AEW does need to kind of like force through this here, but they don't have the same level of cachet that WWE has, because WWE is always going to find a home, is always going to find places that will pay them money to put their shows on. So AEW is still, we still have to remember that AEW is still just a 6-7 year old company. It's still very much in its early stages, even though it's like evolved so much in that time, and it started at a high level. I'm not saying that's right. They should just be pushing the women more and utilize the women more and giving them more time and giving them more opportunities. But a lot of like network executives won't see it that way, or won't afford the same time or ability to give them that freedom to do it.
Guy 123 in the chat says the NWA means more than ROH. I don't know about that. As bad as ROH is on the totem pole, NWA is lower.
Wait, what did he say about NWA?
It means more than Ring of Honor.
My asshole.
Yeah, exactly.
More than the NWA.
One of them's actually making money, dude. Like, it does still make a certain amount of money.
I think that there's something to this, because I think NWA just moved over to Comet, which is like one of those syndication channels. I have it on YouTube TV. And I think it actually got better ratings than TNA.
Really?
And people are like, NWA number 3, baby.
Jeez. Comet? I've never even heard of that.
It's like, do you remember growing up in the Northeast where you would get like those channels like that would just show reruns of sitcoms and reruns of X-Files, and it's very much one of those channels, and NWA is just slotted into that. And I can see somebody just leaving it on and going, "Oh, I guess there's this wrestling show." You know,
It's just so crazy to me, especially nowadays where you have the option to just like I'm backlogged with material that I want to watch. I haven't finished this season of Daredevil. I haven't finished the last episode of The Boys. I've got Spider Noir I got to watch. I got From. I've got School Spirits. I've got like all these TV shows. I haven't watched this season of Monarch yet. And it's like, that is all stuff I have just queued up ready to go for whenever I get an opportunity to. I don't have any time to be like, oh, let me just put whatever random feed is on right now for random like reruns of stuff. If I have any kind of random time, it's like, oh, let me click on some YouTube stuff or something. And it's just like, how many people are just like tuning in to TBS to watch another rerun of American Dad or whatever the fuck, you know, like, is it just all the older people that are like, in 10 years, this isn't going to be a thing, you know? Guy123 says, NWA pulled 275,000. Maybe this is just some bubble that I'm unaware of. Maybe this is MAGA crowd or something. I don't know.
I think, like I said, I think legitimately they show like X-Files and maybe Twin Peaks. This might just be a crowd of like the late 30s to 40 somethings who are just like, all right, I was watching that. This new wrestling thing came on. I guess I'll leave it on.
Guess 5 in the chat. I don't know why I bother with turning YouTube notifications on. I never get them. Are they not going through?
That's a big issue, especially I don't know how many channels you're subscribed to, but more and more they're very pick and choosy with the notifications they actually give you.
Really?
Because you have to like hit the bell, and now there's like another bell that you have to hit to make sure you get all notifications.
Oh, really? Is it like a 2-step fucking thing now? I haven't clicked on notifications on anybody in a while. It's like I know my own notifications, but
Callum, do you like? Are you aware of this? Like when you subscribe to a new channel, where it's like they'll give you notifications, but they'll give you like sometimes notifications, and you really have to click again to make sure that you get all of them.
Oh, I've never had notifications on for any channel.
Yeah, that doesn't shock me in the slightest. I will admit it gets a bit cumbersome, so I understand why you do that. But yeah, it's like a 2-step process now.
Oh, that's so stupid. Oh my god, I hate crap like that. Why did they have to make everything so much more difficult? Like, don't you want people to click on your shit and be on YouTube more often? Why wouldn't you make it easier for that? Well, keep in mind that for everybody then, and for Guess 5, go ahead and double check to see if maybe you have like the half alert thing or something. Yeah. Anyway, bouncing back to the similar another thing and Dynamite Collision stuff. We got the Stadium Stampede match. Eventually, that leads to Jericho beating Ricochet in a everyone banned from ringside match. But Stadium Stampede, 14-man clusterfuck. I had a lot of fun with that. And I didn't think that the everyone banned from ringside thing was necessary 100%, but it did its thing. Tommaso Ciampa attacks Jericho afterwards, so we're moving on to a different feud. Fine enough.
Stadium Stampede, it was fun.
Not the best.
It wasn't the best. It was very cheeky. I largely think that the problems that I had with the match going into it were just present for me because I just like it felt very random and mishmashy, but it was fine for what it was, and people enjoy the chaos. I enjoyed the Luchasaurus Andrade bit, but we're moving on. Jericho beats Ricochet in a feud ender, which I thought was a good match. He landed right on his face with that fucking Lionsaw. I felt bad. And then Ciampa attacks him, which this feels like a match that absolutely, no matter where these men would have been, they probably would have gotten around to this. So I'm excited. I just hope it's not another 5 weeks of Jericho making bald jokes.
I can't lie, I was thoroughly entertained with the Stadium Stampede match.
Yeah, that's what it was for.
Yeah. I think because of the strict restrictions that were placed on them, by not being able to go with blood or super hardcore with it. I think they decided to lean more into the comedy side of things, and for what it was, that made it fun. I do have to think that, like, watching it, it was just a case of how many different ways can the baby faces kick the heel's ass. There was very few moments where it felt like the heels were on top of this match, and when it did, it was usually just set up that a baby face would do something like funny or wacky afterwards and get it done. So maybe it did lean a little bit more onto the cartoony side, but I think every now and again that can have its place. I thought Lashley and Benjamin looked good just throwing people around the place, and the Leo Rush thing was a bit weird. The two things I didn't really like: the Leo Rush involvement in the backstage thing with his like rabid character that he's got going right now, and then the tennis balls spot. Didn't really need to do like the fake out thumbtacks or anything like that, and just put tennis balls in the ring instead. Like I can get it with things like Lego or something like that, because even though that's goofy, it's at least like, okay, stepping on a Lego does hurt. It's like, what are you gonna do? Suplex them onto tennis balls, and that's supposed to hurt a lot more.
I think it does hurt, but they're shooting in the when they were backstage and they're shooting out the fucking cannon.
Yeah, definitely. That one would hurt, definitely, but just like rolling them in the ring and then landing on them is not really going to do too much to kind of fairly soft tennis balls.
And this might just be me reaching, but like, I'm wondering if Stadium Stampede going forward will be like the more tame version, and then it'll be like Anarchy in the Arena. And I know it depends on venue as well, but it really felt like, Stadium Stampede, because it's much more closely associated with Jericho and stuff. You do get a lot of the cheekiness and the, hey, it's Matt Hardy with a golf cart kind of stuff. But again, that might just be me reaching.
I didn't think it was like as hard to follow as I was expecting it to be, because I think they kind of contained it into the different like segments and just kept things like go from one segment at a time. It was very rare that you had like 2 or 3 things going on at the same time. I think the only time it got like slightly confusing was they did like a picture-to-picture thing at one point, and that's when Andrade started like flirting with the girls at ringside, and that's when you had the Luchasaurus come out and do like his little cameo as well. That was the only time where things started to feel like, okay, I'm watching too many things at once now. But so overall I had fun with that, and I think eventually you had to have Jericho get a victory over Ricochet 1-on-1. So I don't know how much longer that's going to go, or whether that's the end of it now, because Jericho won the match here and then he won the match afterwards. But because after that he got attacked by Ciampa, so that seems to be the next direction for Jericho is going.
We got the Jon Moxley over Kyle O'Reilly match. More stuff with the Death Riders and everything, and this feud that's going on a little bit between the Ops and everything is going to take a little bit of a side step, because Samoa Joe is going to be away for a few months, and they already kind of did this awkward thing with like Hook positioning himself in the middle of Anthony Bowens and Katsuyori Shibata, and them kind of looking like, you're not the leader, which is like already established. But the conglomeration is now teaming with Takeshita a little bit, and there's a lot of crossover going on right now. And I might as well throw this in with there too, but Jake Doyle is back. So another member of the Don Callis family is healthy again. Faction warfare, it was something that I'm a fan of. So even though if I don't like any of the specifics as like the best and most important thing in the world, I like when you've got groups that can be bouncing around and all, instead of just like how WWE does it, where it's like, well, you're a tag team and you got nobody else. That's it. And you're barely a tag team because you argue with each other. Any thoughts on all this? On that, I'm looping all together before we get into the Darby Allin side of things.
I like the idea of Takeshita with the conglomeration. They can get him Cinnabons and have sketches with that, which I'm really gonna enjoy. Jake Doyle's back, which is super cool. Mark Davis now has a spot as a singles, but I think Jake Doyle, Lance Archer could work as the destructive duo. Or Jake Doyle, Brian Cage.
Yeah, it's very good to have Jake Doyle back, because he got kind of taken out very unfairly very early on in his run, so this is a good opportunity for him to regroup. The faction warfare stuff is always good. It's always nice to have a bit of like chaotic energy surrounding just different groups fighting each other, so just means that there's more variety, more matches available. The match between Moxley and Kyle O'Reilly at Double or Nothing was fairly uninspired. It was fine. Nothing offensive about it, but like it's fairly uninspired, mostly, which pretty much sums up a lot of this Jon Moxley title run. Like, he's interesting to me in what he's doing with Ospreay and just their kind of alliance, but him actually being Continental Champion doesn't really do much for me right now.
Now, we've had 3 Continental Champions since the title was created. And given the state of the Okada run and this one with Moxley, I'm beginning to really think this is just a top tier guy gets title that I don't have anything else for Guy to do right now, and I want Guy to have title.
It's the secondary main event title without calling it that.
Well, I mean, fundamentally, they created a thing in the Continental Classic that a lot of people loved and really enjoyed, and they want to do it every single year, and they attach the title to it, and so the title has to exist. In the meantime, it can't just be it goes on the shelf until the next Continental Classic comes around. So, and that's kind of how it feels. Really, it doesn't feel like a title that gets, because the title's only changed hands twice. One of them was in the middle of the tournament, essentially with at the end of the tournament with Okada losing to Moxley. Another one was just like I don't know, a couple of months after it got introduced in the first place. So it's it isn't a title that gets it gets defended fairly often. It just doesn't get changed hands very often, or doesn't seem to be a huge amount of jeopardy surrounding it. And that's kind of what it feels like with Moxley at the moment. There's no real coherent idea about who the next champion could potentially be.
I'm really wondering if this is where Hangman will eventually come into play. Because if he's going to stick to his word, the description I just laid out for this title is perfect for Hangman. Top guy who can't have world title, and I want to have title.
Still think it's a bad decision to do the whole like not ever challenge for the world title again, but yeah. Speaking of the world title,
there's the thing, he will challenge for the title again, just because of heel.
Well, MJF beats Darby Allin, wins it back. Kevin Knight attacks him afterward. Kevin Knight, if you didn't understand that he is a heel now, cuts a, let's be honest, flat, boring promo on Dynamite that says nothing. Very terribly written, I thought. Like, you know, it's all the typical tropes, but without finishing the sentences. Of just like, yeah, you know, Darby said, don't waste time, and it's my time, and I look at me now, and I'm like, oh my God, somebody should have written something for this guy. And then Speedball comes out to be like, you know, stop, why don't you just be a good guy again? And then it's like, no, fuck you, I'm a heel. So we knew that there was going to be some kind of a turn with Jet Speed, and there was a little bit of a tease at one point that it was going to be Speedball. Eventually it's Kevin Knight. Kevin Knight keeps saying he wants to go for the world title. MJF has Roosh, which, you know, who cares, up against him next week. And then, you know, a lot of other people are still gunning for it. And I like that there's a lot of people that are trying to win that title, but at the same time, I don't particularly care about a lot of the little stories inside of it, to be honest. Mark Briscoe, yeah, he's got a good back and forth with MJF, but they're going to try to delay that a little bit, and eventually MJF's just going to be Mark Briscoe, so I'm not like super thrilled about that. I really kind of just want to go straight to like, I'm interested to see when Will Ospreay beats MJF.
Will Ospreay beating Kenny Omega.
You think that Kenny Omega is going to beat MJF in the meantime and then do that? Because that's a very strong possibility.
That the little thing they started Dynamite with made me go, okay, Kenny's probably going to beat Max at Redemption, and they will have a little program leading to All In, because first of all, that's a great main event for All In. Second of all, they had this moment with him and Osprey and Mox, and you're just like, all right, you're planting seeds. Now, could those seeds be planted for after MJF? Sure, but what is it? I think if you've got a guy like Kenny sparingly, All In's one of the shows where you need him, and I want to see him get that world title.
See, I was taking that more as Kenny Omega is going to fight Moxley for the Continental title.
That's also a match they haven't done in a long time, huh? Maybe it could be that.
I think they'll set the groundwork for like an Osprey and Kenny Omega match again, but I don't think All In is the right place to do it, mainly because Osprey is going to be beloved at that show, regardless of what he's doing on the show, because he's been a heel going into All In before and got cheered for it because people just want to see, in the UK, they just want to see Osprey win the title. And so you put him up against Kenny Omega, and it's just, okay, Kenny Omega just has to be the de facto heel for that match then. So, and I don't think they'll go down that route. I think it's just a lot safer and a lot easier just to have MJF be the champion that Osprey takes the title off of, even though they have done this match at an All In before. Like,
You're right, but the Elite Boys love turning heel, even when they really don't need to. I'm not saying that's not something I would want to see, but they really do like overcomplicating the Elite sometimes.
Yeah, I think they're kind of over that now because I don't know in general, but I think for now they're kind of over it because they've only got such a finite amount of time, and so they just probably just want to be baby faces for the end of it, or just treat them as like the legend figures that they are from this company's level. So I think that, yeah, I think that MJF wins here. A very good match between these two. Gave me enough suspension of disbelief to think that Darby could win at times, but MJF gets the victory of that tombstone off the top rope. Wins with the headlock takeover, of course. Kevin Knight stuff, I agree that like he isn't as, I think he has a charisma about him that isn't, but I don't think that he did a great job with the promo here. Certainly don't think that Mike Bailey has ever been a good promo, but that's kind of not the point of Mike Bailey. Like he is certainly like one of the typical types of great between the great bell to bell, just don't give him the microphone at the end of it. But yeah, I think that I like the fact that they have gone in this direction with Kevin Knight, because it should give him more room to expand his range and to help set him up for the future, whether that is a heel or a babyface main event guy. Clearly, they're going all in on this guy. Like, ignore the pun there, but they are putting a lot of stock into him being a top guy moving forward, like associating him on this show with getting involved at the end of the main event on that show. He was involved a lot with MJF and Darby Allin leading into Double or Nothing. He's going to be fighting Mike Bailey for the TNT title soon. He was involved with Carl Fletcher and MJF, and still saying that he's going after the world title because he's the last guy to pin MJF. So yeah, I think that I appreciate that they have clearly seen that this is one of our guys for the next 5-10 years, and we're going to treat him like that.
I don't think that there's really anything else happening on the AEW front that I'm forgetting about, right? We touched on everything?
I mean, there's nothing like super major, but in preparation for the Persephone and Hazuki match, Hazuki's going to have her first match on AEW TV on Collision this weekend against Maya World. And what was interesting about that is that Hazuki was originally was listed to be in a Stardom main event match over the weekend as well. So people are now obviously speculating that they decided to pull her out of that, and AEW asked for her services and they allowed it. Or yeah, it's one of those situations where either Tony Khan asked at the last minute and they agreed to it, or it's a case of he had already agreed to bring her in and Stardom forgot about it and booked her on the show instead. So But we'll see. I think it might just. I think it's probably more like the former because I imagine that there have been some murmurings online, and Tony Khan is like a perpetually online person about, oh, why is this person in this tournament? We've never heard of her or seen her before. Like, we don't just want people that know names to appear on this. So I guess he feels like, okay, I have to give her something, or I need to showcase her a little bit before we put her in the tournament, or like she has her tournament match.
And then, we got plenty other topics that we're going to get into here too. Outside of the AEW stuff, but that was out of the list of different things for us to take care of. Quite a bit of a chunk for the AEW Double or Nothing and all. Let's move over to let's move over to some of the topics that aren't based off of any kind of TV things. So, Nikki Cross and her husband, Killian Dain, or as you would know them, Big Damo and Nikki Storm, are apparently now the owners of Progress and DEFY, which that took me by surprise like crazy because a couple of weeks ago or so, I was talking about how it wouldn't be shocked if Nikki was just like out of the business and decided to just not continue to try to wrestle in the indies and everything like that. And then, hey, look at that. Total opposite scenario. I don't know about like the mechanics of those companies to be like, wow, they would be such a great fit because the creative minds that they have versus the creativity that those brands are or anything. I'm not aware of any of that necessarily, but sounds like it's an interesting idea. Sounds like it could be a cool thing.
I love it. I think more than anything, this has two strong benefits to me. First of all, Progress Wrestling, like 5-10 years ago, before the speaking out movement and the, erosion of the scene because of NXT UK, that was such a huge indie, and they were having such a boom in wrestling in that part of the world. And I think that Nikki and Damo can help continue the strength of what Progress was and also clean up some of the reputation, hopefully. And as far as owning DEFY is a huge promotion in the Pacific Northwest. And I like that it creates a pipeline for young talents to be able to work steadily in an independent, maybe go overseas. I think this is nothing but a positive.
Yeah, I think that overall this does sound like a potentially very good thing. Progress has a long legacy in, like, well, I say long legacy, it was started in 2011, so it's not like it's hundreds of years old or anything.
15 years. That's
it's been established for
five. That's 3 Monday Night Wars.
It's like its legacy carries with obviously a lot of like the British stars that end up coming into NXT UK were from the Progress roster, and that sent it back a long way, as well as like COVID and the speaking out movement. So it does have this very, like, over those 15 years, it has had its very big shares of ups and downs. It was merged with DEFY in 2024, so basically you bought both of them as a 2-for-1 package. It'd be interesting to see what Damo and Nikki Storm feel is the direction to take with it and what they'll end up doing with it. I've seen some people be like less than thrilled about it, mainly because of their kind of network of friends. In terms of like Damo is well known to be a big friend of Marty's girl.
Oh, really?
And yeah, and that kind of what that could bring to it as well. Obviously, we know what that happened with like Adam Page when he was taking a shot of him as well, like what that did to his reputation in many people's eyes. Obviously, there's still the issues with they're never really probably ever going to escape, not for a long time anyway, the association with a lot of the former wrestlers there and the speaking out thing. Their world champion is Cara Noir, who for a long time was kind of viewed as potential someone to jump to WWE at some point, but I think he suffered like a serious injury during like his peak of development. And now he's just like he's been back recently, and now he's back to being world champion. He also has a bit of a shady reputation attached to him.
Does he? What?
Yeah.
What happened? What did he do? Because I remember thinking at one point that he was cool enough that it was like, okay, I'd like to see this guy pop up in NXT UK.
Who are we talking about?
Carnoir.
Oh, wasn't that also some speaking out stuff?
I think so. Yeah, potentially. It's kind of like I don't know the absolute specifics about it, but I know there are a lot of people that aren't like super thrilled about him. But I don't know whether that's too much of like I never want to say that. I never like saying the word woke because I just think that's a really stupid phrase that people
Agreed.
But like whether it's people being a bit too like painting everyone with the same brush type thing. So I don't know the specifics, but I know that there is at least a negative air around him a little bit. I mean, their current the Proteus champion of Progress Wrestling is Paul Waterhauser, the actor who won it in like 404 days ago in a show they did I presume it was in Las Vegas, so I presume that was on WrestleMania week, well, one of the shows surrounding that. But they have good talent, they have good wrestlers, and yeah, it'd be interesting to see how they can utilize their resources and connections to benefit it. But again, I also do worry the fact that they have been so historically connected with WWE. I'm not going to be able to let go about the idea until I see otherwise about whether this can be some movement towards just getting them into the WWE expanding empire of WWE. So like, okay,
so there's a chance for NXT Europe after. Oh,
but it's just what I'm saying. It's the case of I know that DEFY has a long relationship with guys like Swerve Strickland and Darby Allin because it's based in the Seattle, Washington area where they grew up and became where they are now, and Nick Wayne as well. But it's whether their connections and their long history of WWE is some sort of means of, okay, we'll come, because it could start as simply as them saying, oh, can we borrow like a Tyler Bate or Pete Dunne? Obviously, don't call them Ryo and Bravo. We just bring them in as who they are and just start having them run a few shows here and there, and then we could do maybe some like other talent exchanges, or maybe you could appear and do some joint shows, and then bang, they're owned by WWE at that point, essentially. So that's my only concern, considering the fact that if that's not the case and they're just going to run it independently and they've got their own plans for it, then more power to them. But I don't think that like having, certainly in Nikki's case, having worked with the company for well over a decade, I don't think that the ties are very much broken there, as much as some people might think there would be.
And you guys had said that New Japan had an ownership and change, right? What's going on with the New Japan thing?
So this is what was kind of announced. Essentially, New Japan was previously majoritarily owned by Bushiroad. They acquired New Japan in 2012, and they were the kind of driving force or played a big role in New Japan's like massive resurgence over the 2010s, and then obviously their sudden decline post COVID. But they transferred a lot of their shares to a combination of TV Asahi and Cyber Agent. So they're both kind of like media mogul groups in Japan. Cyber Agent is also the owner of Noah and Tokyo Joshi Pro and DT, I believe. So it owns a lot of other wrestling promotions as well under the Cyberfight banner. And so that's the kind of the big story, is that honestly we should have seen a bit of an inkling of this, because earlier this year New Japan, Bushiroad brought New Japan and Stardom together under one banner for a short period of time, but then Bushiroad announced they were splitting New Japan and Stardom back up, and so they would be their own separate entities. So they've moved on entirely from New Japan, and they still own Stardom, so they're still going to be running Stardom. But yeah, now we have new ownership in this side of things, and it seems like it could be slightly contentious, or it's unclear about how this is going to go, because they're both like TV Asahi, I think, runs or is like a big part in like the New Japan World side of things, but Cyber has the Wrestle Universe thing, which showcases all of the other promotions that they own under one like big WWE network, or my AEW as it were. So I'm interested to see how that works. Is that going to be the end of New Japan World? Are they going to bring them into Wrestle Universe, or is there more things that need to be sorted out between these two sides? That I think I saw it said that they both own like 46% of AEW, not AEW, of New Japan. So, what does that mean, or how does that work with having like two majority shareholders? But yeah, I'd say I think I saw Meltzer, I think, mentioned that I think that the cost of it was about $22 million, which doesn't feel like a lot of money. I know it feels like a lot of money to us, obviously, but it doesn't feel like a lot of money in the grand scheme of, like, consider how much it would cost to buy WWE or AEW. Like, you're probably looking in the hundreds of millions at the very least for AEW, certainly the billions for WWE. But yeah, so to essentially get the majority of New Japan purchased for just $22 million just shows how much their business has declined since the COVID era. Like, they've really struggled to create new stars, struggled to generate sustainable business in terms of their house show and live events, and certainly for like TV licensing and the like as well. So they haven't really expanded at all since 2019. So it doesn't surprise me that they've made this move now to try and save a little bit of face and move away from this and focus their attention on Stardom, which is just it's smaller, but it's a more profitable business probably than New Japan is right now. And it's certainly a better quality of overall work than what New Japan is producing right now. So yeah, that's kind of the big thing. And then we don't know what the effects this is going to have, because one of the big things about Cyber Agent is that they have a mild working relationship with WWE, because there has been talent transfers between Noah and WWE and NXT over the last couple of years. So
what would you guys think is the ultimate end goal of all of this? Does like New Japan Noah crossover kind of thing, does it end up being like these kind of get all merged together? Not saying that I necessarily want the urge to merge on there, but is this like how we keep kind of assuming TNA is either going to be absolved by WWE, or they're going to split their separate ways, and then WWE is going to steal all their talent? Like, it's one of those two options.
Yeah. But I guess this is just the way things go now. This is just what the wrestling landscape looks like. It's a lot of promotions, like in name, but it's really only like half a dozen people owning all of professional wrestling. And this is the latest example of that. This is now Cyber Agent, for the most part, taking control of wrestling in Japan. The only big promotions that they really don't run is like things like Marigold and All Japan Pro Wrestling. Like, other than that, like some of the biggest promotions, definitely 4 of the biggest top 10 promotions in Japan is owned by Cyber Agent. So yeah, I'd say that Japanese fans would have certain cause to be concerned about this and what this means for just the state of Japanese pro wrestling. Is it about to become so much more homogenized than it has otherwise been? So yeah, that's kind of, I don't think it's a good thing that this has happened, but I certainly, and in the same way, I wouldn't be happy if Tony Khan was the one that bought out New Japan from Bushi Road. Like, I don't like, we need to have more different ideas and perspectives, and just people with different approaches running promotions, not the same homogenous mass that we're kind of seeing with a lot of promotions right now.
Let's see. Oh, good.
Just real quick, I don't like this. There's already that thing where whatever AEW content is getting shown will no longer be a thing after, I believe, August. And New Japan World only shows AEW content when like a New Japan contracted wrestler is featured. I hope that this doesn't lead to like, you know, WWE middling into things or whatever, or really any more of the homogenization of the wrestling industry. But this is just the way things are going, and we have to hope we see a new boom period in the same way that like in the 2010s wrestling was dull, and then PWG happened and the Bullet Club happened, and I think like as much as everybody loves AEW and I love it too, we're ready for a boom on the smaller level that can sort of change big time wrestling. But you want
another Evolve or ROH?
Yeah, or in Japan's case, another Dragon Gate. Yeah, I mean, and Dragon Gate's still going, but you don't hear about Dragon Gate the way that you did in the 2010s. Or no one talks about All Japan, and that's unfortunate. But I'd like to see another boom happen and more unique voices and more unique takes on professional wrestling.
I think people are really readily able to admit how fucking awful the wrestling landscape is right now. Like, it is dreadful. And people say, like, oh, it's been in a boom period, or it has been a boom in the last few years. No, it hasn't. It hasn't. It's been fading away very significantly because of WWE's, conglomerating, as if they're joining AEW as well, but banding together of all of these different promotions, one of which we're going to talk about. And like, I know that Tony has been happy with, like, or enjoyed watching AAA, but like, I'm not going to sign off as much about this watered down Americanized version of Lucha Libre.
Oh no, I mean, that's not going to be a game changer by any means.
No, but then, oh yeah, for being a game changer, like GCW is like
kind of dead.
It's like it's not dead, but it's like
kind of dead in terms of buzz.
Yeah, there's nothing really to it right now. The whole independent scene on the American side is just absolutely, it's probably at one of the worst states it's ever been, and I don't deny the fact that AEW is a big contributor in that. But yeah, and I just don't think that there's, I don't know where that extra buzz, where is that ECW, where is that Dragon Gate, where is that Ring of Honor, where is that I don't know who is going to be, or what is going to be that thing that takes wrestling by the scruff of the neck and just says, this, we're going to do it differently, or we're going to do things our way. And as I say, it might not be big, it might not even be very successful, but what it can do is it can send a ripple effect onto the bigger promotions and make them think of things a little bit differently. Even if whoever that promotion or whatever that group or whatever it is takes hold, it just can help spur things along. I just don't see where that is coming from, or whether there's even the environment and landscape exists for that sort of thing to happen these days.
I mean, Guy123 in the chat saying, don't forget about CZW and Juggalo Championship Wrestling.
Oh yeah,
who can forget about those?
Big Russo affiliated Juggalo Championship Wrestling. But like all jokes aside, in 2019, which to me and Tony and probably Callum as well feels like it was just yesterday, but in reality, 7 years ago, NWA Power felt special. AEW's creation felt brand new, and they were doing a thing where, you had stars like Nyla Rose, and it was a different cast of people. And right now, wrestling doesn't feel like that. And I want to see it get back to that, because I enjoy when wrestling feels like it's thriving. Like, remember, even this is way in WWE, but even in NXT Black and Gold, like that in and of itself was such a vibe and energy, and you do not have that right now in NXT.
Real quick, not like non-story kind of thing, but Curtis Axel was arrested for DWI. I haven't heard about him in a while, and that's where you hear from him from. That sucks.
I have
Don't
to
do
ask,
that.
'cause when I saw that, and maybe this is like a bad thing, but like my question was like, what's the difference between a DWI and a DUI?
Driving while intoxicated or driving under the influence. So it's one of those like technicality type things, but it's also kind of a little bit of a difference between like being on a different drug versus alcohol. And like, I think under the influence, if I remember correctly, I think under the influence has like a different level than a DWI. But I don't
So
like.
it's not just quite like a street fight and no holds barred match.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it's like. It's like
I've obviously never had that happen, so I don't know like the specifics of it. Let me see if there's like an actual quick explanation of it. So let's see here. Oh, I guess it's like state by state too. That's a whole fucking stupid thing when it comes to those things. Like, why does that have to be like a state by state thing? Why is it like, oh, if you're driving differently in Iowa, you should have more fucking alcohol than you are in Texas or whatever the fuck. Maybe it's not even necessarily a specific thing in certain states now that I'm looking at that. Really? I thought it was for all states. All the more reason why this country needs to just like figure this shit out at this point. Yeah, I mean, play stupid games, win stupid prizes, you know, and that's one of the stupidest things you could do because you're going to potentially put other people at risk too. Fucking asshole. Don't do anything and then drive.
Yeah, that's definitely not perfect.
Oh, a guy in the chat says he cursed out and was violent to the cops. Even better then. You know, I'm not saying you should just, listen to all the cops to do everything because cops are assholes a lot of the time. But at the same time, you're not making a case better for yourself by being in that scenario. Not perfect, at least. Mr. Perfect would have figured out a way to get out of it. Let's see here. Didn't Triple H and Stephanie McMahon say WWE is unwatchable recently? Really? Did they? Triple H and Stephanie? What was that from?
I've seen this kind of a comment. I think maybe they said something to the effect of like, hey, we know when something's bad. I'm the first person to go, that sucks. But I doubt they said their product was unwatchable.
They wouldn't be wrong. Real quick note, EVOLVE Succession 3 is happening on June 24th. For anybody that follows EVOLVE, all three of the people in existence.
I hope that Layla Diggs has a moonsault showcase. And, Carmen Petrovic seems to be doing some cool stuff. She's got an interesting submission hold.
They seem perpetually keeping her down in EVOLVE, and I don't really know why she made the downgrade. And I don't know. Nikita Lyons keeps making upgrades. Now there's a rumor that she might be going to the main roster, which to me is like, whoa, you took her from NXT, you put her on EVOLVE, you put her on LFG, and then now you want to bring her back to NXT, but then you're also just going to put her on the main roster? That's way too much of it. She needs NXT for a while.
Well, does she though?
Yeah, I think she does. I think she's still just trying to figure it out.
Bro, sink or swim? How long has she been there?
But see, now she's dropped a lot of weight and she's more confident on the microphone. And I think that like now she kind of hit the reset button a little bit where it's like, all right, give her a little bit of time at NXT and she might actually like meet the expectations that she was at. Previously, before, she wasn't anywhere close.
She was like one of the top stars when they had just transitioned to 2.0 and Breakker was still like this hot new NXT guy. I would just, if they have any desire to put her on the main roster, just put her there, see how it goes. At this point, I think letting her linger in NXT is only going to be worse.
Random creative things. Let's get into those kind of topics. One of them being one of the writers that used to be part of WWE, Chris Dunn, had said this idea, which I just think is absolutely stupid. Apparently, they were pitching a couple years ago that they were going to reboot the NWO, and the New World Order group would have been Sheamus,
Would have been the bar.
Cesaro, Shinsuke Nakamura, and Lars Sullivan. Not a single one of these guys gives me NWO vibes. None of them seem like they would be like the we're taking over side of things, because they had all been a part of the company. So why, you're not an outsider coming in to take over and do the company thing like that. And even though Sheamus and Cesaro had their great chemistry together, Nakamura and Sullivan just thrown in there, that stuff is baffling to me, because it's like, I often think about, and I've tried to do these in articles, and we've done some discussions on like Time Machine Dream Team and everything about like, look, if you wanted to try to reboot Degeneration X, who would you have put in there? And at one point it was like, oh, maybe the Street Profits go in there, or maybe, Gargano and Ciampa go in there, or whatever you might do. The Hardy Boys, blah, blah, blah. If you want to reboot the Nation of Domination, who do you put in there? Who do we do for the next group of, the Shield, or any kind of thing like that? There would not be a single moment when you would be pitching a new NWO where I would think any of those four guys would make sense to go in there at any point.
I think this is a case of not understanding pitches, right? Because I can see a world where these people were pitched to be together.
Right, yeah. That's a different story than the NWO.
Where it falls apart for me is that they were like, they're going to reboot the NWO, but one of the old school NWO members got COVID. And it was a no-go. I think Sullivan was out of the picture by the time COVID came around. I think.
I don't remember for sure.
Now, where this starts to make a little sense to me is the Artist Collective was Zayn, Sheamus, Zayn, Cesaro, and Shinsuke. I can see a world where if Sheamus had been cleared and healthy, that was a thing. But nothing about what this says makes any kind of sense. But then I get into the idea of people don't understand the NWO. 30 years later, I think it might actually be 30 years today, of Scott Hall going to Nitro. And they don't understand like what that was. You can't just put people in a group, give them a shirt with a logo, and be like, this is the new thing. This is going to be the coolest thing ever. See the vision. The NWO was three guys. Actually, it was just, you took two of the WWF's top guys. You paired them with Hogan, who was the longtime WWF top guy. And then everything around it just happened to be cool. Mm-hmm. And they happened to be people who were like, this is what's cool. I don't think any of these four men are capable of doing that. And I really like Cesaro. And, Shinsuke is great. I don't think they're capable of being like, this is what's cool in the world right now. And this is how we'll be an angry group. They tried Retribution, which was somewhat topical because of the protests. And that was a stinking pile of crap. You can pitch things all day long, but if I say to you right now, Tony, I'm going to make a new NWO and it's going to be, Austin Theory, Danhausen, Carmelo Hayes, and Ilya Dragunov, it doesn't mean it's going to be good.
Mm. Who would be a good, not necessarily good, because I don't think that this would be a good idea. But if we were going to try to make an NWO out of the people on the roster right now, I'm like looking through the list and I'm like, man, I don't know. Like, not a single person actually comes out in my brain about being like, that person would be a good fit. Like,
Well,
that defeats the idea of what the NWO was, though. The NWO only works, or something akin to the NWO works, if it comes from another promotion.
exactly.
So it would have to be AEW guys going over to WWE, or WWE guys going over to AEW.
Cody leading, Starks, Page, maybe Cardona, and I think I was gonna say there's no AEW women, but you do have Blake Monroe. But I would probably throw in Jordan Grace and be like, here are these people who had to make their names outside of WWE, and they can be bitter about it. You could have done that with Cody, but Cody came in with the red, white, and blue pyro, and
So kind of like these are the people that Cody brought over from AEW.
Yeah,
with Page and Saints and Hobbs, maybe.
Hobbs would be a good one. And these are all people who, by the way, you could do this because they have pre-existing relationships with Cody. And you could do this. They could have a fun feud with Punk. I still think that eventually, if you ever see Punk and Ricky Saints in the ring together, you should probably reference the fact that Saints was supposed to have a big match against him before he just got fired. But yeah, I don't think it could be done. What I would like to see is a group of young guys that can capture what's cool now to young people now, almost like a DX. Because even though people say DX was the answer to the NWO, it was different. Because NWO was so much more of like there's 30 people here, and it's the idea that there's a rival group inside. And DX was just a bunch of shitheads, wearing South Park t-shirts. That's what it was. So I'd like to see something more along the lines of that, and see if you could get like a group of young people who can capture the energy of today.
1, 2, 3 in the chat says, how about the speaking out movement group? Joey Ryan, Velveteen Dream, Del Rio, Marty. What would you call them? Is that not yada yada problematic?
Yeah, yada yada problematic, or silenced. How about that?
By the way, yada yada problematic. One of the phrases that I now see had been triggered on the Discord. If you say something that's going to get you a little warning, it's yada yada problematic is one of them. So
I like that. That's something I just said in the middle of a draft that we were doing.
Yeah, the first person to be honored and triggered in that was guest 5 for saying wanker, tosser, something or other. Yeah, so the NWO thing, fucking stupid as all hell.
There's no way that's fucking real. There's no way that's real.
Oh, I completely believe that it's real. I could totally see them sitting around that conference table and somebody being like, why don't we do like NWO is popular? Why don't we throw like Dragon Lee and Rusev and Brutus Creed into there? And
yeah, because someone obviously pitched the idea of, let's do Retribution again, but just have it 4 guys and call it Dark State.
Or they didn't even realize that was the case, and they were like, I got this great idea. So these guys are going to come out, and they're going to have this thing that's going to go and kind of like cut in between. And then somebody's like, that's kind of like what the Y family does, right? And then they're like, oh, yeah, I guess so. And they're going to be wearing these like black masks and like all black, and they're going to kind of attack at random. And they're like, that's kind of like Retribution, right? Yeah, I guess so, sort of. And they're going to do the Shield power bomb, and it's okay, so you're fantasy booking the way that people do, where all their ideas are just basically, I want to make my what was it, Caw? Creator Wrestler? Yeah, Caw. And it's like, I'm going to wear the AJ Styles outfit, and I'm going to have this person's theme. And
well, that's the problem, though, is so many people are just like, well, wrestling's fake, so I'm just going to wear this outfit, tell people I'm a star, and then I can get booked that way because wrestling's fake. And to go back to what I was saying about like the formation of DX, that's more of just like, hey, we're just we're just being ourselves, and we're gonna kind of talk how normal people talk. I saw a take on NXT that was knocking people backstage for how they talk because the promos don't feel real. Because everyone's trying so hard to be, I'm a WWE superstar, and this is how I talk. Instead of just being like, you know what? Fuck you, and I want a title shot. Like, that's something that's why whenever you hear Punk on the mic, it's instantly more fun because he's just normal, you know?
We
need more normal.
Yeah, well, we need more normal. We need more wacky too at the same time. One of the big stories coming out of Monday Night Raw was Logan Paul was injured at Saturday night's main event. His torn tricep, so he is out for the foreseeable future. And by proxy of that, he needs to vacate his half of the World Tag Team Championship. And the way that they did this was a little lackluster, I got to admit, and a little disappointing for my perception of where things are going in the future, where Paul Heyman was just like, yeah, you know what? It's in the contract that the Vision are the tag team champions, not necessarily Logan Paul and Austin Theory. So we're just going to swap Bron Breakker in there, and there you go. And I don't dislike the way of doing that, and like you could just keep it on Austin Theory, and that's why I've always made this whole idea, and we talked about this when we did like our own little fantasy booking thing about me being like, in my mind, the tag team titles should be, if you're in a group, anybody in the group should be able to be the tag team champions, whether it's a trio or it's, you know, whatever. And I do like just keeping it on Theory, but I don't like the idea about Bron Breakker being one of the tag team champions right now, and that makes me kind of go, all right, I don't think he's winning King of the Ring, and he hasn't really been doing anything all that fantastic since WrestleMania. Like, all things considered, this guy should be doing stuff that's better. I think he's losing a lot of steam. And now that we saw the pictures of Bronson Reed dropping a whole bunch of weight, like, man, that can't come soon enough for Bronson Reed to come back and be that other half. Bronson Reed and Austin Theory, way better off, I think.
Man, in a better world, it would have been the Bronze. The Bronze were a fun tag team. I don't hate Bron Breakker being a tag champion because it's better this way than to take it off the Vision. Or honestly, you could have just called an audible and said, okay, put on the Profits. But you wanted to have the Vision stand tall. And I think it's better this way, and he's not going to lose anything by being a tag team champion. If they want him to win King of the Ring, he just will. You know, even if he's still holding tag titles. So, I think this is the best possible option. Poor Joe Hendry lost his ankle.
Yeah, I mean, he got attacked by Austin Theory. Is there any kind of confirmation that he's injured? Or that this was just one of those, like, well, we're just going to have you beat him up? And
No, I meant lost his ankle like he lost, Logan. His whole thing was, can we fire Logan Paul? Like, he doesn't have anything to do that to. Or I guess he'll find something to say about Theory, but, it also sucks in the sense that, like, Logan's injured. Why? Because he was actually wrestling every week, And
is that weird? I feel more banged up because we're not wrestling all the time versus the I get injured because we're not versus we are, and now that I'm wrestling, I'm all banged up.
You run the risk of like getting more banged up if you wrestle more, but you also, I think honestly the time out of the ring can hurt the guys. And speaking of that, I did see a report recently that they're considering running more house shows because they realize that younger people need the reps, and I think that would be great.
I don't buy that story, by the way, at all. I do not think that they are considering more house shows because they want to get the practice in. I think that this bleed the company dry to offset the debt from UFC thing has them going, can we maybe run more house shows? Can we get that money? I don't think anything that TKO is doing is for the betterment of the product. I think it's only for the money.
Well, yeah. That sucks.
Because we're not going to see the house shows on, like, I don't know, like the random cities. It's going to be like, yeah, they still did the house shows in Madison Square Garden because they could charge a fuck ton for it. And it'll be, you know, here's a house show in Cincinnati. We could charge quite a bit for that. But you're not going to get that in the middle of nowhere like you used to.
Sorry, Bemidji.
Good old Bemidji. Maxine Dupree will team with Austin Theory, says Peter. Yeah, they're still teasing that. I don't know why. I really don't see that being a great, like.
Yeah, just put her in the group already. What are you doing?
What did you think about Seth and Montez paying tribute to Becky and Bianca WrestleMania match by parodying the sequence in that match? I didn't catch that, actually. I wasn't really paying too much attention.
That's awesome if they did. I didn't watch Raw, so I can't say.
They did do that match. Rollins beats Austin. And Montez Ford gets attacked by Austin Theory for the whole Dawkins thing. The only other thing that happened on Monday Night Raw, Penta retained the IC title over Javon Evans, who was a little bit upset about it, but then eventually apologized. And they had also announced the King of Queen of the Ring tournaments are going to begin. We talked about this a little bit when we got into our Clash in Italy predictions about who they could end up picking and all, because all we know so far is that it's LA Knight on the men's side. And it could be a group of, technically it could be a group of 4 people if they really want to make a really lame King of the Ring tournament. More than likely it's going to be 8. They typically don't do 16 anymore, but I'm assuming 8 men, 8 women. And my breakdown essentially becomes, I think that Obafemi wins the men's and ends up beating Roman Reigns at whatever show it is, because they didn't specify that it's going to be a title shot at WrestleMania or at SummerSlam. So it might technically be at Saturday night's main event, even though I think it's more than likely SummerSlam and they just didn't bother to say it. But Io Sky and Stephanie Vaquer, the 2 top options on the women's division for me. You know, a couple days have passed by. Any other thoughts you guys have? Is there any kind of standout that you think might win either of those brackets?
Is Stephanie cleared?
No idea. But if she is cleared, then she immediately shoots up to the top of the list for me.
I've said Charlotte Flair wins and faces Rhea Ripley at SummerSlam about 20 times. I think that's absolutely what's going to happen. As far as the men, we talked about it. I want to see Oba beat Brock on Sunday, and then I want to see him win the King of the Ring. If they don't have him beat Brock, I think the third match might be at Champions. So, in which case, I'll say, congratulations, Sami Zayn, on becoming King of the Ring.
It's hard to predict when you don't watch. And
when nobody's announced for a tournament.
Exactly, yeah. But just pulling names out in hope rather than expectation. I think that if it's going to be for the SmackDown or the WWE Women's Championship, I should say, then it'll be Charlotte Flair. If it's for the Women's World Championship, I think it'll be Roxanne Perez. And then if it's for the WWE Championship, I'd say Sami Zayn. If it's for the World Championship, I mean, I would say Obafemi, but I don't think Obafemi's going to beat Brock, and I think that if he doesn't beat Brock, they're going to have a match at Night of Champions to beat the rubber match, so he won't be in the King of the Ring. So I guess I'll go then with. I guess Bron Breakker.
I mean, it seemed at one point that the idea was Bron Breakker is going to be Roman Reigns at SummerSlam. And if they want to stick to that plan, Bron Breakker should be in this tournament. He should end up winning, that kind of thing. But right now, all we know is LA Knight. And I don't think it's going to be LA Knight. But we'll see on that front. Let's pop over to NXT before we round out with AAA. Grande Jordan beats Red Sinclair. They continue to tell a story of like Kalani's going to be one of the future people that fights Lola Vice again because Lola retained over Izzy Dame. Sean Spears very close to getting kicked out of the culling. He had attacked OTM during their entrance, so the whole thing was, we're mad that you have this tag team match, and then now you screwed up the tag team match, and now we're mad at you there. Dark State did their usual thing. They're like, we kicked Saquon out because we did. Like, you didn't really say anything, and hey, remember our catchphrase, when Dark State's around, no one's safe, and they just, beat up Miles Bourne and Tavion Heights. Sean Legacy and Dorian Van Dukes. Still don't know 100% sure how you're supposed to say that. Fought to a time limit draw. So then Romeo Moreno, who... Here's a weird thing that's going on right now in WWE. This is the left hand's not talking to the right hand. All these people that have been switched around between NXT and Evolve and LFG and all this, so like, LFG is not a competition show anymore. Now it's to showcase people anywhere in the NXT spectrum. Sure, okay. Evolve is like, you can be sent to the Evolve roster from NXT. You can be a brand new person for the Performance Center and go to Evolve, or you could be an ID person or an NIL person and be on Evolve. But if you're on Evolve, you can't be a part of NXT at the same time, but you also can, because they've established this week. Like, and they even called it out, the attention to it, which I was like, this is really, you're pointing out how stupid this is. Timothy Thatcher, who's like the GM, they call him the foreman of Evolve, had said to Tate Wilder, you're working NXT now, so focus entirely on Tuesday nights. Essentially, best of luck, you're not going to be on Evolve anymore. And then in 2 segments later, Cam Hendricks comes over and he's like, yeah, what the hell? Why do I have to keep doing Evolve if I'm on NXT too? Like, that's not fair. Then again, he's also saying that he wants more opportunities, so that's like self-defeating. But Romeo Moreno is another one of those guys who is like, he's working more on NXT than he's working on Evolve, yet at the same time, it's like, well, you're not going to do that for Romeo Moreno either. So he's going to get a shot at Lexis King's Speed Championship. He beat Nathan Fraser to do that. And everybody's just sort of, if you're somewhere in that ecosystem, you might pop up here and there. Tate Wilder is going to have a match against Jackson Drake, so 2 Evolve people against each other next week. And somebody like Tristan Angels, who is, he wrestled 1 AAA match, 1 Evolve match, and then he got sent to the NXT roster. Then he fought for the Evolve Championship this week, and next week he's going to, or no, that's not next week, 2 weeks from now, there's going to be a pageant in NXT to figure out who will be Mr. NXT. Essentially a means to continue this Shiloh Hill and Tristan Angels feud. I'll keep saying it. NXT's fucking stupid, but it's the most fun show to watch.
Yeah, so from NXT, I saw 2 things. I saw the clip of Mason Rook and Naruko, and that was the one where somebody was like, this is not how people talk in real life, which, accurate. And I also saw something I really think is dumb. The Dark State explanation for turning on Saquon Sugars is, we're athletes and he's a wrestler. Ugh.
Yeah.
Fucking really? That's the best you got? Can we get can we get some fresh blood into that writing room? Like, what are we doing?
I recommend checking out NXT on a regular basis if you want something that'll make you kind of like, it's something fresh every week. And it's not necessarily good fresh, but every week you might go, we're doing that now. Okay, sure. We already talked about the AEW stuff. There's nothing to talk about on SmackDown because everything's always just like, we'll tell you an hour before the show starts. The only thing left to do is talk about Noche de los Grandes. Week 1, I should specify, because they are splitting this up. It's going to be a 2-week thing now, the way that they've been doing some of the other things like that. So at the Rey de Reyes was split up in 3 weeks, if I remember correctly. And they basically just kind of decided to continue to do that going forward. Triple Mania is supposed to be a 2-night thing now. I think 2. And if I remember correctly, it's going to be 2 like back-to-back nights. If I remember right for Triple Mania. But oh no, actually it says that it's a Friday and a Sunday. Okay. But Noche de los Grandes is going to be split as Saturday and Saturday. So this Saturday, 2 days from now, we've got 4 matches that have been announced, and then there is only 1 match announced for the next week, but I'm sure on tonight or Saturday's show they'll probably announce some other things, because right now Dominic Mysterio is not scheduled for any of this stuff, and you would think that the Mega Championship will be defended. Maybe new AAA general manager Rey Mysterio is going to be the one to make that announcement and just be like, somebody else who's competing is my son Dom. My daughter Aaliyah. I got to do the full stint. My wife Angie.
I think about the phrase my son Dom.
You think of my son Dom all the time now too.
More, there are so many earworms you've given me that I really can't escape it.
You're welcome for that.
It's terrible. I'm excited to watch this show. I can't really give too much in the way of like predictions because I'm not watching AAA, but I will be watching the show because everybody's just like, "Oh, this is so fun! It's the most fun WWE show." And then there's the Americanos match, which I'm very excited for.
So those 4 matches now. Maybe they might add something else to it. I don't know. The 4 matches that are scheduled for night 1 of Noche de los Grandes are Laredo Kid defending the AAA Cruiserweight Championship against Rey Fénix. Laredo Kid's apparently held it for like 550 days or something, so I'm just assuming that Laredo Kid retains.
Yeah, was he still holding it when he was in TNA? He might have been.
I think so.
This would be a great time for Fénix to win something and do something. Yeah. I'm going to go with that.
Prove that he's not just hired to be Penta's brother in the, that's it.
He's not even being Penta's brother. He was Andrade's tag team partner for a little bit. And now he's on main event.
He's the guy that goes up to Sami Zayn and is like, man, what's up? I don't recognize you anymore. And that's about it. Rey Fénix could win. You get the champion that's held it for 500 something days. You're well past the point of it's too early for that person to lose the belt. So Fénix is somebody who's good enough that, if they give him a belt, I wouldn't be surprised whatsoever. My wife is in the chat. You're cute. I also see Jaco Robertson in the chat. What's going on, Jaco? We got Pagano and Psycho Clown against the War Raiders for the AAA World Tag Team Championship. Now, I'm trying to pay attention to AAA as much as I can here and there. I'm watching it like half-assed, let's be perfectly honest, but I'm not, I'm still watching it way more than I am, plenty of other things. But the whole clown thing, I still don't know who the fuck which one of them is. I'm pretty sure that Psycho Clown is the guy that rips his face off, but I don't know for sure. That might be Pagano. One of them's like Steve or something, or like Mike, like just some kind of generic name. Gordy the Clown or something. And the Murder Clown, I think, is another one of them. So they're all over the place here, but the clowns are popular enough. I think that they're probably going to retain over the War Raiders. Wouldn't shock me if there was a title change, but at the same time, I don't think it's necessary.
They should just beat the War Raiders. I don't see a reason to switch the titles here.
How invested are you on this, Cal?
Well, no, I'm not really paying a huge amount of attention. I presume that. That seems like the sort of title they might just put on the War Raiders just for the sake of it.
I think if there's any main roster guy that's gonna win a title, it's probably Fénix.
I mean, they've done it with Los Garza before, like having them just win the tag titles. I know they seem like they're more of a fit for AAA than the War Raiders are, but maybe it's just a case of I mean you're not doing anything with them on main roster TV, so why not?
That's the thing. Like, they haven't been doing anything with the War Raiders for a significant amount of time. Like, the last two things that they did were getting squashed by Obafemi, if I remember correctly. So if they wanted to use the War Raiders in this capacity and just be like, all right, stick around there a little bit longer, eventually lose those tag titles to somebody else. As far as I'm aware, the Clowns have held it long enough that they could be dropping those and just, eventually people lose their belts. And it just happens. They beat Los Garza a couple months ago or so. But I also kind of assume that maybe some things are just going to be waiting for Triple Mania. And that's also got me kind of wondering about the Latin American Championship. Now, that's El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr. against El Hijo del Vikingo. And not to spoil exactly what I think is going to happen with everything else, but the mask versus mask match, El Grande Americano against the original El Grande Americano. I think that one influences the other, kind of. And let's put it this way. Mini Vikingo costing Vikingo, and then you keep the mid-card title on Wagner, makes more sense to me than Vikingo winning the Latin American Championship. And it's partially because I think Vikingo needs to be saved as a challenger for the future babyface champion. Good.
I think Vikingo should probably just win here. The only AAA match I've seen last month is Mini Vikingo against Vikingo, because I put it on after Collision, and that just happened to be the only match left. But I think he should win here. He's a great talent, and for some reason, he really turned out to be a heel. And I honestly, when it comes to the Americano match, the obvious thing here is Chad Gable loses the mask and is finally done with this, and everybody moves on.
Who's Chad Gable? He's not in this match. Talking about.
But
it's got to be him. Like, people are so into the German pretending to be the American, pretending to be the Mexican, that they put a fucking mural up for him.
So they did put a mural up for him, and they've already grown accustomed to him as Americano. But I kind of think he loses here and then has his own mask and his own Lucha identity.
El Grande Germano?
No. But that would also change Rayo and Bravo, wouldn't it? Yeah, I'm going to just say...
I mean, they could just be Rayo and Bravo instead of Rayo Americano and Bravo Americano.
That's true, they could be Rayo and Bravo.
Rayo, Bravo, and I don't know. Whatever Kaiser would call himself.
But I think I'll play it safe and just say Chad Gable loses the mask, and he's finally done with the El Grande Americano thing that started as, hey, Dominic Mysterio, please help me get my victories over these luchadors, and morphed into, wow, Ludwig Kaiser sure is over in the Undertaker booked AAA, where he pretends to be an American pretending to be a Mexican.
It makes no fucking sense, doesn't it? You go back to 2 years ago when it was 2 years ago when they announced that they bought AAA?
No, it was last year.
It was last year already. Okay. You go back 2 years ago and you go, hey, next year they're going to announce that they bought AAA. And then the year afterward, this is the story that's going to be told as the thing that's the most over thing in that whole entire company. And yeah, none of it makes any sense at all. But, I'm more excited for the mask versus mask match than I am about some of the other things that are happening. And I'm more invested in that too, because I'm like, oh man, if they do take the mask off of El Grande Americano 2 and make him something else, then I'm curious what that mask is going to end up being. If they just continue to have him be Ludwig Kaiser, that's going to be real weird for me. But it's got to be Chad Gable losing.
Did you hear the update to the Ludwig Kaiser story?
Is there something more than the ice thing?
So Fightful reported that after speaking with a number of sources within WWE, they believe that the story about Ludwig Kaiser defending Andrea from ice comments was planted within the company. So,
which the weirdest thing about that, the company is ratting on the company, because why would people within the company be like, I don't know, man, so many people said that it feels like it was planted within the company.
So it's the idea that the people that were reached out to in the wrestling media that reported this was from an unfamiliar number, and it wasn't from Kaiser or Andrea or a member of the WWE's team. It was just some number that reached out to a lot of media saying that this is what happened. So what I'm presuming is that what happened is isn't super serious between Ludwig and whoever this guy was, but it wasn't an ice motivated comment. They just decided to do that because that would make him seem like an even bigger face in Mexico.
As I said before, if it was the case, then I wish he would have beat him up even more. If it wasn't the case, and if he was just like, some guy was just kind of like, hey, excuse me, can I get out of the elevator? And then he started wailing on him, then it's okay, yeah, fucking asshole,
So what I'm assuming is the likelihood is it's somewhere in the middle where he said something that was offensive or annoying to, or aggravating to Ludwig and Andrea, but it wasn't ice related.
I'm going to call ice on that bitch or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I assume it's something like, it's probably something that Ludwig may have taken exception to, and then ended up in a pretty petty brawl at the end of the day. And apparently, Gunther was the one that bailed him out as well.
Absolutely. Good guy, Gunther.
Which you would not anticipate being hey, screw that ice guy from somebody like Gunther, you would assume, right? Well, then again, there are surprising people out there, so, in both ways. Some that you're like, oh my god, how could you be such a piece of shit? And other ones being like, I thought you'd be a real piece of shit. And, turns out you're not. I've heard that a bunch of times in my life.
In which direction?
Oh, I've heard I thought you were a real piece of shit until I got to know you by a couple different people.
My favorite thing about you.
I thought the opposite.
Yeah,
it could go either way.
Well, because you're a very nice guy, and then you're like, I'm just really rooting for this asshole.
Maybe it's it's kind of like a cyclical thing. It's like he seems like a real asshole until I get to know him, and he seems pretty nice. Actually, no, he's a little bit of an asshole. It's kind of just let me dial it back a little bit. He's not that nice. I don't know. We'll see. If you like or you dislike that idea, hit the like button. That's the best way to tell me. Aw, by throwing in the positive comments. Love you. You're cute. So yeah, AAA. That's Saturday. Of course, Clash in Italy is going to be on Sunday, so we'll have our live coverage up for that. The post show for the Clash in Italy side of things and all. I don't know why I don't bother to cover AAA on Smark at the moment, but I guess I probably should, realistically speaking. But we're not going to do a post show for that one. So, last thing for us to take care of, I guess, would be to talk about some of the, or if there's any changes to do on the Fantasy League. Any news on it?
Sorry, I was typing something. I got distracted. So.
That's all right.
Let's go. Okay, so Fantasy League updates. So got has been two. I haven't added up points so far for this week, but I got things for Saturday night's main event. The only thing that's worth talking about is that there was some decent points scored for the likes of Logan Paul, but that will be the last points that he will likely score for a while for Tony's team. And then Penta and Page obviously picked up some good points for Rob's team as well. So with Sol Ruka as well with her DQ victory over Becky Lynch. So yeah, as I say, points being scored. And now it's time to consider if we are willing to make any trades prior to Clash in Italy. So I believe that based on the trades that have been made so far, I believe Tony would be first up to make a trade if he so wishes to, which I presume he would like to with Logan Paul.
Absolutely getting rid of Logan Paul. He's not going to earn me a single point. It's just going to cost me some stuff. So getting rid of him, taking a look at the roster list that's going on right now. And obviously a lot of the people that would be really interesting to take are already taken. I'll look over to see if there's anybody that I'm forgetting that could be making some kind of a splash. At the very least, there's more points to be made just for certain people that are going to be there. I mean, no matter what, I'm getting rid of Logan Paul because he's just legitimately not going to serve any purpose at all. But I guess out of all the people that I'm looking through right now, maybe the smartest move for me would be to pick up Charlotte Flair.
Nice.
It does seem like a potentially smart move to make.
She could win Queen of the Ring. I don't think she's going to win any titles anytime soon, but she's at least going to be popping up on TV.
So my selections, I think my team is in okay shape right now. I'm probably... I don't know what they're going to do about the tag division, so I don't know if it's worth dropping Montez Ford just yet. There's a lot of things that I'm a bit unsure about, like the fact that Liv Morgan just isn't wrestling is not good.
Yeah, they haven't done anything with her in a long time.
I think it's time to probably... I'll make a trade. I'm going to drop Ethan Page because he didn't win the Intercontinental title. So that was a fat lot of good that he did me.
I'll pick up a loss.
Joke's on you. That's who Danhausen's reviving.
Let's have a look around, see what would be an interesting pick. I think it's probably good to take Sami Zayn as a potential winner of the King of the Ring. And if they are pushing him more towards like a world title picture, then it might be a sensible pick over time. So yeah, I'll take Sami Zayn then. Rob, you have one trade if you would wish to make it.
Looking at my team, there's part of me that wants to get rid of Jey Uso, but the Usos, the bloodline is such a core part of what's happening that I feel like it's got to come in handy at some point. At the same time, I should maybe pick up Fatu because I don't have a strong feeling that he'll win, but on the off chance that he does seem like he's going to be on TV a lot.
Kind of a lateral move at like the worst if you swap Jey Uso and Jacob Fatu, because if they're going to be both on TV and, you know.
Is that official trade or is that...
Hold on. I'm just making sure. I see that Callum, I remember now he did pick up Brock Lesnar. I'm just trying to match this to the card on Sunday to see if there's anything I can maximize. CM Punk is really...
Jade Cargill's not on anybody's team, I think. Or no, it's on Callum's team.
No, I've got Jade Cargill, yeah.
You got Sol Ruca, Becky Lynch is covered, Roman's covered, Cody's covered.
Most people they're on. I think Jake Fatu's the only one on the card that isn't on.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to drop Jey Uso and pick up Jacob Fatu. I might lose points because he will lose, but he could win. And then, oh my God, look at that.
I mean, you can't lose points on a pay-per-view. Even if you lose the match, you'd still pick up at least one.
Oh, so that's right. As long as they appear, I pick up points.
Yeah, so yeah.
I'll swap out Jey Uso for Jacob Fatu.
Okay, so that's Rob's final trade. Tony, would you like to make another trade? This is the final opportunity to trade before it resets to 3 trades each between now and the next show of Night Champions.
Breakker, Roman, Danhausen, Lola Vice, Tiffany Stratton, Tony D, Solo, Blake. Blake Monroe's really not doing anything for me either. Javon Evans still in that. I don't know about Javon Evans. Charlotte Flair. We already have Obafemi covered. Bron Breakker.
Yeah, of course you don't have to make a trade if you don't want to. It's like
But I might. Kind of debating between either Blake or Javon. Might switch one of them over for one of the other options of maybe a Stephanie. Nah, I'm not gonna do Stephanie Vaquero on that front. No, I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah, that was my immediate trade because they injured her. Damn it.
Yeah. We lost her. I lost Logan Paul. So.
Yeah. The only thing I'm slightly considering is now whether to take Kalani Jordan, because I do think that she's been positioned at least to challenge for the world title, if not potentially win it from Logan Paul.
There's a strong chance that she at least. Well, I mean, she's going to fight Lola at some point, but there's a strong chance that she might actually beat her.
Yeah, but with these regular check-ins, you could always do it at a later time. I don't think you need to do it immediately.
Yeah, I don't think it's like there's a heavy amount of pressure on it right now, but
I mean, if I were you, I would just pick up CM Punk and just be like, well, he's coming back eventually. No, just kidding.
I have CM Punk.
Rob has CM Punk, so yeah.
It's one of my protected picks.
I think. Well, actually, I'm going to drop Montesford because Montesford isn't going to wrestle at Clash in Italy and probably won't win the tag titles anytime in the next week or so, I imagine. So, and then I'll take Kalani Jordan because she might wrestle a match on NXT and win it if she's being protected right now. So, yeah, that would be
very woman heavy your team is.
Well, they're the only good things about WWE.
All right, so obviously check out any kind of updates on that front on WWEFantasyLeague.com. That's the easiest redirect to that section of Smark moment.
Absolutely.
And then, if you want to follow around every place, mention the start of this whole thing, hit the like button, subscribe, do all those good things. Make sure that you're checking out AnthonyMango.com to see a link tree list of all the different accounts that you should be following if you're interested in this Markout Moment stuff or the Fanboys Anonymous stuff or my stuff. Make sure that you're checking out Rob and Callum too.
Yep, you can follow me everywhere at Dude Felice and check out the Insider Gaming Showcase that just wrapped while we were doing this podcast. 55 games showcase, a lot of cool indie games. Support that, and you're supporting me, and I appreciate it.
And you can find me on Twitter and Blue Sky Weekmeister 14 and check out the Power Rankings every Saturday over on smarkmomo.com, where I rank the WWE superstars based on their previous week's performances. And of course, follow the Fantasy League as we discussed earlier.
And stay tuned to all the things that we were saying is going to be heading your way next. We got the coverage of the events from this weekend. We got the SmackDown stuff. Remember, it's going to be in the afternoon tomorrow. So if you want spoilers, go ahead and check out Smark Out Moment because I'll have them up. And then next week, we've got a blank week, if I remember correctly. So we were kind of trying to figure out some ideas. We had tossed out a couple options, one of them being this like a mock draft of an every 10 years thing. We could try to do something King of the Ring based, since that's coming up in a couple weeks and they're going to start that. So I don't really know what we would do King of the Ring based. We could always watch an old King of the Ring thing. We haven't done a fan outs table in a little while, probably since either Elimination Chamber or Royal Rumble, maybe something like that. So I'd be down to watch an old King of the Ring tournament. One of the ones that's not, over a course of 7 weeks of Monday Night Raw or whatever. Suggestion in the chat earlier today was doing Mount Rushmore of the worst people in wrestling. That could be kind of fun if we did something like that.
Like
any other suggestions?
Like from a moral perspective?
Yeah, like the Benoits and the Del Rios and all that. Any suggestions you guys got, drop them in the comments or send an email through the feedback or, there's lots of different ways for you to voice your opinions. I'm checking out all that stuff. So if you pop something up on Discord, if you tweet at me, whatever it might be, all that good stuff is greatly appreciated. So thank you for your support. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for popping up on all the different places that you can. And yeah, that's going to do us in for this episode. Thank you for listening to us as well. And we will see you next time. But for now, this has been another Smark Out moment. And we're being counted out.